evening, wherever it is, whatever time it is with you. And tonight I'm just going to tell you about something that I've come across recently. I had a book that I was recommending a few weeks ago by Jonathan Haidt called The Anxious Generation. And it is such a good read. I really encourage it. He's doing a video and he's doing loads of interviews with people. He's really plugging that book and it's doing incredibly well. Well, he had a guest blog or guest writer on his Substack, which I am putting the link to that into the text description on this video. And I want to tell you about someone he's become aware of, somebody out there that he didn't know anything about, who seems to be on the same wavelength. Now, if you remember, Jonathan Haidt has done a great deal of research on the digital exposure of our children to the games, the smartphone specifically is quite a culprit for taking children down a path that we haven't really seen where the end result will be, and possibly depriving them of opportunities to use their imagination, to develop their reading, to play, to get bored. All the things that we did when we were children, and which I think children increasingly are not exposed to for many, many reasons. But his work is groundbreaking. It's been acclaimed widely. But this person that he's discovered, a journalist called Catherine Malinka, she's Canadian. She has 3 boys, 9, 12, and 14. Could you believe having 3 boys of those ages in this day and age who have no smartphone, no phone, no television, and no games, occasional Netflix, and they obviously do experience and come under some exposure when they're out and about. But even at school, no use of QR codes. This is a very strict and a very intentional analog upbringing in a digital world. And it's not the way that I was going with my thoughts about this. I find it intriguing that somebody is so strong and so passionate and committed to the idea of bringing her children up in an old-fashioned way, we might say, but you could call her a modern Luddite. I suppose that's what we would think of. She is very much a lone voice, but yet if she reaches out to find other voices, they're not as easy to find because they're not doing social media. But there are parents out there who are deciding to do this. And it just reminds me, it's a very much more intentional and aggressive approach than our parents had to think about when they decided, as in my case, we didn't have a television between the age of me being 6 to 11, which was a very influential time of learning to read and has probably had a massive bearing on my love of books. And so that's just a short clip of 5 years in a very analog world, even then, where I was exposed to no television. And I do even remember how isolating it seemed to feel when in the playground we didn't really understand, my sister and I, some of the references to characters in cartoons, some of the theme tunes, adverts, guess the advert games, all kinds of things that we were on the periphery of because we did not own a television. Think of that now. I emphasized, exaggerated about 100 times. Can you imagine your preteen and your teens without access to any of the things that are now normal part of growing up? Well, she's gone down that road and she's done it. And she's really got me thinking. Even that thought, that sense I have, which is that our children deserve to be prepared for a digital world. They deserve to grow the skills and understand how to navigate the internet, the metaverse. Of course they do, but we must be ahead of them all the way. We must be ahead of them. We must know the territory. We must know which parts of that territory are out of bounds. We don't give them carte blanche. In fact, a very experienced and well acknowledged author called Jean Twenge, who's done decades of research into these very subjects, has said that giving a young teen a smartphone is like giving them the keys to your car before they are actually eligible to drive it. And so it's a simple analogy. It helps us to understand that we need to make sure that they are robust enough mentally, physically, emotionally to handle themselves in that space when they are actually given access. So slightly different twist on things today, and it's really made me realize how much we need to have these conversations on an equal footing. We want to have these discussions. We want to discuss and even debate and even disagree. And let's see if we cannot work out the best path for our family and make sure that even if that's not entirely fixed, because our digital world is evolving week and month and year after year, and very, very quickly, we have to keep talking. You know, there's some amazing assets out there. And as I say, I want you to know about this article. I want you to know about Catherine and her work and the author that found her on our behalf, which is Jonathan Haidt, and author of The Anxious Generation. I recommend all these things to you. I would be very, very keen to receive your recommendations and your suggestions of material, books, videos, debates, people you're following out there that are setting a standard, maybe creating this conversation and widening it up for parents to be, parents that have felt maybe it's a little bit late to start these discussions. My kids have already passed the age of 10 or 15. But it isn't. We are all in this together. When we went through COVID, we were all in it together. Babies experienced COVID in one way, toddlers in another, teens in another, workplace employees in another. And so we need to just have these conversations. And I invite you to subscribe. Let me know you're out there. Let me know what you're reading. And let's see if we cannot improve the way our children are prepared for adulthood in a digital world, even if it has to be intentionally analog in very large patches of that childhood. I'll see you next time. See you guys.